Alright, I've connected a mouse and a keyboard to the new computer. USB, of course. Everything's USB these days. The old ones had PS2 connections, I think is what they were called. But so I've connected a new ones of those to the new machine, and I have also connected a monitor to the machine. I connected it to the new graphics card rather than to the onboard graphics port, and I'm hoping that's the correct choice. I don't really know if the graphics card will function prior to it having any software installed. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get any video through that port or not, but I guess I'll find out soon enough. I might have to switch to the other port. And I've also plugged in some small speakers to the audio port, so I can hear, beeps or anything like that that's going on. And I've plugged in the power cord for the new computer. In line between the tower and the monitor, I connected a video capture device, and I have that running to my recording software on the old computer. So that's why you can still hear the old computer and hear me. And I'm hoping that I can capture what comes up on the screen of the new computer so that we can see how this goes. I can share the experience. So first step here, I'm going to flip the on switch on the power supply on the back of the new tower. A LED lit up here. Yep, seem to have lights inside on the motherboard. I guess we're live. All right, so let me try the power button on the case. We'll see if we can turn this thing on. Now, this tower is still on top of the desk, and it's not that far away from the microphone, so it might be loud. The fans, I really don't know. Okay, I pushed the button. It is doing something. I did hear the fans kick on. They're pretty quiet. I like that. Much quieter than the old computer. Oh, we have something on the screen here. Doesn't look like you can see it though. I have a screen here that says my motherboard model and the BIOS revision number. It says which CPU that I put in. It looks correct. It says the amount of memory that I have installed, what USB devices are plugged in, and it also mentions my 2 SSD drives, the M.2 ones. It says new CPU installed. Please enter setup to configure your system. Press F1 to run setup. All right, I want to do that, but let me see if I can get this screen to work so that you guys can see what it is that I'm doing. After a little troubleshooting, turns out that the capture device won't capture BIOS settings and reboots, things like that. Something to do with the screen resolution changing, not the screen, the display resolution changing, and the device needing to know what resolution it's trying to capture. So back to the old-fashioned way, I'm just pointing a camera at the screen. Alright, so this is what I described just a minute ago. So we have the motherboard, the CPU, total memory, DDR4, USB ports used, and a couple SSDs. Alright, new CPU installed. Please enter setup to configure your system. Press F1 to enter setup. Boy, I hope this keyboard has an F1 button. There it is. Okay, here we are in setup. Very strangely, we have a mouse that functions. The old-fashioned way, you didn't have that. You had to navigate with the arrows and the tab and the space bar, the enter key. So that's pretty wild that the mouse works. High tech. Wow, it knows what day it is. That's pretty amazing. I think the time's wrong, though. It's 12 hours off. Wow, so intuitive. English, that's good. Fan control, that's interesting. I don't think I have anything plugged into channel 1 fans, so these graphs seem to be some kind of default that doesn't necessarily populate just because you have something plugged in or not plugged in. So I'm using the CPU fan, channel 2, and channel 3. Doesn't appear to be much difference between silent and standard. Ooh. That updates live. I can hear that. That's my front fans. I think I'm going to leave it on standard. If I have noise problems later, I might try switching to silent, but it doesn't really look like there's much difference. PWM or DC. The fans that came with this case are DC. They have 3 wires. The PWM fans have 4 wires. And they seem like an alright deal, really. I mean, if I were buying fans, I'd probably buy the PWM ones, but I thought I'd try these ones that came with the case and see what they were like. If they're fine, they're not loud, I'll just stick with them. AI overclocking, don't really need that. I'm not going to do any overclocking. Aura on off. Here we go, this is for the LED lights. All on, that sounds good. Looks like it's already on. Temperature 34 degrees Celsius. Alright, extreme tweaker. This is for overclocking stuff. Let's go back to main. Yeah, don't see anything that needs messed with there. Let's see, that says my RAM frequency is 2133 megahertz. Let's look at the box, is that correct? Alright, the package says 3200 megahertz. Wow, the scrolly wheel even works on the mouse. That's something. Huh. 3200. I'm a little reluctant to change it because I haven't built very many computers, but I'm probably going to look that up and see if that's something that I should change, or if it's set to 2133 for some important reason. It says auto, so it should detect. Alright, so I've looked that up, and the answer is that 2133, where did I see it? There we go. That's a standard normal thing that things are set to be at. And in order to go past that, you have to enable the XMP setting, which is an extreme memory profile. It basically overclocks your RAM, your DRAM, DDR, to a pre-calculated stable setting. So it sounds like it's pretty worry-free, and I just need to find the XMP button to turn it on, and then it will automatically recognize the equipment that I've installed in the machine and bump it up to perform at that rate for whatever I have put in the machine. It does that by increasing the voltage, which can make a little more heat. So I'll be looking for the XMP setting. It might be in that extreme tweaker menu, but let me keep looking around and we'll see if I find it somewhere. Man, this is really pretty easy to use. There's an info thing here that says what each setting does. Looks alright to me. So that's the My Favorites setting, or menu. That's main. I already looked at that. But I probably didn't scroll down. I hadn't realized you could do that. Okay, I guess we'll look at this extreme tweaker menu for overclocking. Those are presets for overclocking. Alright, the info button there mentions XMP1. Let's try yes. Wow, there's quite a bit more on this menu. Alright, this symbol seems to mean that there's more things when I click on those. Didn't see too much there that I needed to mess with. Okay, back to favorites, and my RAM frequency is now 3200. So basically I've activated the higher performance parts that I purchased. I'm just sort of peeking in these to see what's here, to see if I see anything that jumps out at me that I might need to mess with. Overall, there's probably not much to do here. CPU temperature 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Motherboard temperature 105 degrees Fahrenheit. That's interesting. The board's hotter than the CPU. No idea what a PCH is, but apparently it's pretty hot. Alright, PCH stands for Platform Controller Hub, and it's a chipset on the motherboard. 75 to 80 degrees Celsius, and higher than that is considered high, and right now I'm running at 60 degrees Celsius, which is just fine. Neat that it gives me the fan speeds. Also shows which fan channels I'm using. Nice. I think the red one is on, that's what I want. Alright, moving on to boot. I think that says number lock will be on when I reboot the computer. That sounds cool. I like to use the keypad over there, the number pad. Guess I could save my profile since I changed one setting. I don't know if that's worth it. I could just change the one setting again if I remember what I'm doing. And that is exit. Says right there, to use one graphics card, we recommend you install the graphics card onto the PCIe X16 1 slot. That's the top slot. So that's what I did. Like I said, when I installed it, use the top slot. I'm glad that it recognized the graphics card enough for my monitor to work before installing any graphics card software. It's neat that this feature is available, but it's probably not something I'm going to use. Let's see, cancel. Overclocking pushes your system to higher performance, but the cost is more heat, which requires more cooling, and I don't really want louder fans. And that extra heat also decreases the lifespan of your equipment, which I'm not into that either. I just assume this lasted a long time, so I don't think anything that I'm doing is going to require the extreme performance that overclocking would give me. So there's not a lot of benefit in it for me. So the one setting that I changed is XMP1. So if I go here, yeah, that kind of says what I did. Will that save? Let's try enter. No? Ah. Saved to profile 1. Neat. Alright. Profile 1 is saved as that. So that's all the changes that I made. Well, I don't think there's much else to do here, right? Hotkeys, that's how to navigate. Wow. You can scan that with your phone, and it gives you information. That's crazy. Easy tuning wizard, easy mode. I kind of already went through it all, so going through it again in easy mode doesn't seem beneficial. I think exit is my next option. Yeah, that's correct. The CPU fan did have 4 wires. It's PWM. Neat, that's my changes. Not sure why it says reset. I would want to keep these changes, but I think it means that I get to keep them. Let's cancel and look at the other options, but that's probably what I want. Discard and exit, that's not what I want. Sounds like that's the one I want. Okay. Alright, so I have saved the changes, and now I'm here again. Well, now what? If I want this computer to do something, I'm going to need an operating system. I have an operating system. I guess I have to figure out how to install it. I don't think that's done from within BIOS. Does DOS still exist? I hear that it doesn't. There must be a way to do this. I guess I will open up the package and see if there's instructions inside. Alright, so I got the plastic wrap off. Here's what's inside. There's these instructions that say how to install it in a machine that already has an operating system and in one that doesn't. Basically, I put the USB into one of the USB slots, set the system to boot from the USB drive, that would be here in BIOS somewhere, and then reboot the system. It also has the key code for installing the software. I won't be showing that on the screen. This is the USB drive, tiny little thing. And this is a product guide, which says in 41 different languages not to choke on this. And that's about all it says. So, we'll see if we can figure out how to do this. So step 1, USB drive into the computer. Alright, I guess we'll check out this boot menu. Alright, I didn't see anything in the motherboard instruction manual that said that one of the particular USB ports was to be used for booting. In the old days, we would call this booting from a disk, but these days it's a USB drive instead of a disk. I'm not seeing anything on this menu that's jumping out at me. Yeah, not really seeing anything there. Maybe simply rebooting will do the trick. Since I didn't make any changes, saving them or discarding them should be the same thing. Alright, I think this is probably the setting that I want, but somewhere in here I saw USB drives. Here we go, USB configuration. Just curious if it could see the other drive I just put in or not. I don't think I'm seeing anything different. Okay. So, secure boot. It says disable. Boot, secure boot. Now how do I access it? That's weird. Well, let's just try save and reset and see if it happens to boot from the drive when it restarts. You've not made any changes to the BIOS settings. That's correct. It said to press delete or F2, so I tried that. Maybe I shouldn't have. Took me back to here. I've already been here. Looks like that's probably not where I wanted to go. All right, let's try that again. No buttons this time. Please press delete or F2 to enter UEFI BIOS settings. Oh, here we go. When I don't push anything, this pops up. Choose an operating system to start or press tab to select a tool. Use the arrow keys to highlight your choice, then press enter. 64-bit sounds good to me. Oh, there's a countdown. Yep, that's the one I want. Alright, well, cool. It loaded it. Sorry, looks like that's a little tough for you to read. Language, English United States. Time and currency, English United States. Keyboard input US. Next to continue. Install now. Alright, this is where I need the installation key. We'll just hide that for a moment. Next. Alright, license terms. A lot of words. I used to read all that stuff. It usually doesn't say anything interesting. Alright, custom install, because no files, settings, and applications are currently existing. Where do you want to install Windows? I want it in the smaller drive. I want to put my operating system there and then use the bigger drive for storing things. I would have preferred those two were switched around. I wasn't sure when I was installing them into the computer which one would be the first one and which one would be the second one. So whichever way I did it, the other way would have been what I preferred, but it'll work just fine. Installing Windows, copying files. And I have a green bar down at the bottom. It's going to go across the screen here. Files are copied, getting the files ready for installation. It says your computer will restart several times. This might take a while. I've installed operating systems before. They were from CD drives at the time. And it's pretty straightforward. You just go through the prompts. Takes a little while. Alright, it says the files are ready for installation, and it's done installing the features, and now it's installing updates. I bet that's going to be difficult without an internet connection. It says it's done with the updates. Finishing up. Restarting in 10 seconds. I can hear the computer fans speed up a little, but they're still so quiet compared to the old one. Just a moment. Region, United States. Yes, that's correct. Yes, US keyboard. A second keyboard layout? No? No, I don't think so. I don't know what that is. I mean, I kind of know, I can imagine, but... Boy, that's really blurry for you guys, isn't it? There we go. Get that to focus. Let's connect you to a network. To finish, you'll need to connect to the internet. Wow. It detects my Wi-Fi network. Huh. Well, I would prefer to use the wired internet connection. Alright, I plugged that in. Well, maybe it doesn't recognize that yet. I guess we'll go ahead and use the wireless one. Just it might be a little slower. Can't connect. Alright. Alright, I tried the other network port on the back of the computer, and now it says it's connected, so... Well, it says it's connected. I guess we'll try next and see if it works. I think personal use suits me fine. My Microsoft account. I think I do have one of those. But again, that's something I'm not going to put on the video. Alright, it wanted my password, which I typed in. Now it wants me to create a PIN number. Never heard of that before. Alright, it won't let me skip having a PIN. And the PIN has to be fairly complex, like a password. Not sure why I need it since it already asked for a password, but... Okay, that one worked. When you're setting up the computer, you're creating your username and your login info and stuff like that. I think I covered the screen when I entered it. So there's two options there. You can create a login using a Microsoft account, or really any email address. It doesn't have to be a Microsoft email address. But basically you can log in with your email address, or you can create a user login that is what they call a local login, or a local account, and that is not associated with an email address. Okay, so here's the main difference. I created a Microsoft account login with an email address when I set it up on the screen in front of all of you here, but I backed up and created a local login instead. I actually converted my email address to a local login, but it would be much easier if you just created a local login to start with. So the reason why you would want to do that is, let's say that your computer is a home computer and you don't want to type a password in every time you use it. Okay, so if that's the case, then you need to have a local login so that when you turn your computer on, it just comes on. Because if you set it up with an email address associated with the account, then it's going to require you to enter a password every time you turn on your machine and log into it. That's for security because it's associated with your email address. So for me, because I don't have roommates or this isn't a work computer or anything where anyone has access to it that's not someone I trust, that's, me. I'm not worried if my wife comes and uses my computer. And I'm not worried about the cat using it either. So for me, a local account is definitely the way to go, so that when I turn the computer on, it's just on, and it's less hassle for me. It's easier to use, and I don't have security issues that require that level of password protection. So when I log into my email, I then have to type my password to get into that. That's fine, instead of having to type it to get into the computer at all. So that's something I'd recommend as a local account during setup. Activity history. It's a timeline of what you were doing so that when you switch devices, you can pick up where you left off. I don't know if that's something I would like or not. Usually I avoid stuff like that, but it might actually be handy. As I get busier, it gets harder to keep track of what I was working on, especially if power goes out or something. Sometimes I have so many tabs open. I think I'll say yes. We'll give it a shot. Wants me to link my phone to the computer. I think I probably don't want to do that. I think if I want my photos from my phone, I'll just be old-fashioned about it and get them off of the phone. Then they won't be clogging up my phone. Only save files to this PC. I'm not fond of clouds. I like to keep all my data myself. Wow. Microsoft 365 is $100 a year, plus taxes. I liked when I could just buy software and install it and use it, year after year. I keep my computer long enough that, what if I replace it every 8 years or so? It's usually a pretty good deal just to buy it outright. Software was probably $100 or $200. And this thing at 8 years would be $800. Pretty big price difference. I'm going to say no thanks. See if I can get one of my older versions to work. Nope, no personal assistant for me. No cloud-based speech recognition. I don't think I need to find my computer. It shouldn't go anywhere. Boy. Programs are called apps now. And apparently apps are going to advertise to me in Windows. How things have changed. So do I want them to provide personalized advertising? I don't know. I'm going to see advertisements either way. Would I prefer that they be relevant to my interests? Probably. It really feels like this operating system is designed for a mobile device. Location-based experiences. We're going to say no on that. No, I don't want Microsoft to give me tips on how to use itself. Alright, we'll try that. Hi. Seems like the camera goes out of focus whenever the screen goes black. Wow. I guess I'm up and running. Okay, Armory Crate and LAN Driver. It's local area network. This is motherboard stuff. I think I'm going to say yes on that one. That would be the thing I just clicked yes on. Your PC needs to be restarted to finish setting up devices. Update in progress. Don't think I want to restart in the middle of an update. I better wait. Get apps. Tips. And what's this middle one? I guess this is a internet browser. It looks kind of like one. And this is news stories. Powered by Microsoft News. Huh. Jerry Garcia. He passed away a long time ago. Didn't expect to see him in the news. Yeah, lots of news. Probably never-ending news. Alright, I don't think I need this open. Snap apps side by side. Alright, that might be something that's useful to know. See how. Come on. Select any open window, then drag and bounce it against the side of your screen. All other windows you have open will appear on the opposite side. Select a window to have it then fill the open space. Huh. Tip 6 of 12. Interesting. Yep, I might need to read through that because I'm not very familiar with Windows 10. So let's close that. Looks like that update's still going. Double click this edge thing. Alright, that's a browser. And the start place on the browser looks similar to where I was, but without the tips at the top. Mainly I was just wondering if the thing I was looking at was the browser. Sure, close all tabs. I don't really want to use that browser. I like Chrome. Alright, well, I'm going to sort through this a bit, install programs, or you might call them apps, that I like or need, and make this thing my own. So that's about it for the video. Machine's up and running, it works, it's a computer. Looks like I was successful. Except for this focus thing. Yeah. Well, anyway, like I said, I've built with Legos before, and I thought I could do this, and it worked out. Remember to unplug the USB drive with the Windows installation from the back of the computer, so that next time you restart it doesn't try to install it again or something, you know? I didn't do that. I don't know if it would do that, but it might do that, so remember to unplug that and put it away somewhere safe. Alright, I had a couple more notes I wanted to go over regarding building a computer. So, I got it all together and turned it on and works, everything like that. But here's a couple things that I wanted to add in, some extra information that I thought was important. I installed 2 solid-state drives, the M.2 whatever they're called. Only one of those was recognized when I booted up. the one that the operating system was installed on. That's fine. That's fine. It's supposed to be that way. I just wanted to let all of you know, if you've never built a computer before, that in order to see the second drive, you have to initialize it. That's where you give it a letter so that it knows what drive it is. And after that, the computer will be able to see it. You do all that from within the operating system after you've got it all booted up. So just feel free to Google it, initialize drive, and I'm sure you'll find the info on how to do it. It's really not difficult to do. You just need to know that it needs done. Otherwise, I would have had a second hard drive in here with no access to it. I guess one more note here about running the computer with the back of the case and the glass here off of the computer. I don't really recommend that long term. The reason is because airflow. So in order to cool everything properly, the air has to flow from one side of the computer to the other. Heat naturally rises, so it kind of tends to go upward. Most computers blow the air from the front, maybe the bottom front, to the back at the top. So in this instance, let me turn the camera here. So yeah, we have the fan at the back, and right now it's not necessarily pulling air from the front of the machine. It can be pulling air just around the corner to itself. It could just be circulating air in a little circle here and not actually pulling the air through the heat risers. So that's why you want to have your case installed, because you want total air exchange. You want the air to come in one side, flow all the way through, and go out the other side. If your room is air conditioned well enough, you know, that's something, but ideally you want air exchange. That's how air coolers work. I guess let me do one more. No, I can't do that. I was gonna shut down the old computer and let you hear the difference, but I'm recording on the old computer, so that won't work.
Okay, first recording on the new machine. I'm gonna have to adjust my sound settings, I'm sure, and fine-tune some things, but I want to see what the sound difference is like. I wanted to share that. I'm about ready to shut down the old machine, so wow, that's so much better. All right, that should improve my sound a lot, being able to not have all that background noise. And hopefully I'll get this all set up soon and make some more videos.